Hello, it's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight. The Parliamentary Accounts Committee labels DMMU disastrous on account of financial irregularities. Government advised to revisit the monthly fuel adjustments. President Hakainde Hichilema hailed for championing child rights. In international news, Nigerians protest Russian invasion of Ukraine. And in sports news, files to open a coaching training school.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Hello once again, the news in detail. The Parliamentary Accounts Committee has described the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit as disastrous on account of financial irregularities as indicated in the Auditor General's report. Former DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kawe Tuesday failed to appear before the Public Accounts Committee to respond to various issues contained in the Auditor General's report. Mr. Kawe was reportedly sick but was advised to appear virtually but could not appear before the committee tasked to probe financial irregularities in the management of national resources. Various issues were raised surrounding the procurement of COVID-19 materials such as face masks and swabs. The witnesses from the DMMU could not answer as to why they failed to provide auditing information to the Office of the Auditor General. More in this report.
In the public office, there is a time for everything, the time to spend and distribute materials, but there is also that time to account for expenditure. And this is the duty that the Public Accounts Committee does best, and Tuesday the witness was the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU. The meeting could not start with the right dress code which needed to be observed.
Former procurement officer, if he has a jacket, he is not in order to come before this committee. I think he's a seasoned and senior member. He must have an orderly dress which is acceptable here.
Okay, that to be resolved. Mr. Kapekele, please, can you find a jacket as you appear before the committee? Thank you so much. So we'll excuse you to quickly go outside and organize yourself. Then you can come in.
The former Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, National Coordinator Chanda Kawe, failed to turn up before the Public Accounts Committee to respond to various issues contained in the Auditor General's report, but PEAR assured to invoke necessary provisions.
Assign someone to try and get hold of him as we proceed, because we're not going to stop the proceedings. We'll proceed and then they'll try and get hold of him, and then if he doesn't appear, then we invoke certain provisions.
Among the pertinent issues was the failure to produce auditing information to the Office of the Auditor General. The procurement officer claimed that the documentation was just delayed.
Documents were just delayed in being made available. Not that they were not availed to the auditors.
They were just delayed, but yes, were made available.
Yes, they were made available.
What does that mean?
But the Auditor General argued.
Thank you, Chair. That is not the correct position. And even now, some of the documents, they can't produce them. I submit.
Throughout the proceedings, the committee was not happy with the responses that were provided by the people who were appearing before it.
The internal auditor is trying to mislead the committee. And as such, I think through the national coordinator, appropriate action has to be taken. People should learn to take audits seriously.
And it was observed that while the DMMU was busy managing hazards in the country, it was also a disaster that needed urgent response. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Some 2020 intake students of Evelyn Horn College of Applied Arts and Science Tuesday staged a protest over alleged withdrawn bursaries, leaving them financially stranded. They have told Camnet News that their fees are due by Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, and failure to which they will not access any services from the institution. The agitated students headed to State House seeking the president's audience, as the Zambia police officers were quick to block them along the way. Fabian Lovu explains that they do not have where to get the money, as their full bursaries were withdrawn by government. Efforts to get Evelyn Horn College management proved futile by broadcast time. More in the following report.
Media for this to be heard rather than us going to the State House. It was already taken the message that side. The thing is, you don't want to listen to us. Listen to us as well.
They are determined to reach State House seeking President's audience to air out their grievances. But as expected, their mission was cut short by the Zambia police, who blocked them along the way. These are first-year students from Evelyn Horn College who took to the streets over alleged denied bursaries. They have told Camnet News that their fees are due by Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, failure to which they will not access any service from the campus.
Because we are students who lack sponsorship, we have parents but they are unable to sponsor us. So we've been going to government promises. Today early in the morning we went through the Minister of Higher Education and they told us to say come back on when it's done. It's not our first time. Now our issue is tomorrow is the due date for payments of exams, which is forcing a lot of students. We are frustrated because we are supposed to register and the college is rejecting our forms. And how are we going to write our exam in April? That's the issue here.
They fear for their future, describing their efforts as activities in futility.
Some have gone back because of the police, and our concern is that as 2020 students, we were given the 50% bursary, and the 2021 students were given 100% bursary, and those who have applied now, they have given them the 100% bursary. But what's so different with us? Why are we being given the 50% bursary without a reason?
You always find us Moma prison because we're trying to find a living. Suicide. We even lost some people the time we were taken. A lot of people have died because of this. Economy was affected by the COVID-19 and everything. Where would our parents get the money to pay for us again? Some of us only have. Some of us here don't even have parents.
Meanwhile, efforts to get Evelyn Horn College management proved futile by broadcast time.
The number you have dialed is busy. Please try a call later.
Camnet News will monitor our events and forward henceforth. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Taxi drivers in Lusaka's Central Business District have described the monthly fuel revisions by the Energy Regulation Board (ERB) as unsustainable, stating that this is negatively affecting their business. The ERB on Monday revised fuel prices, which saw petrol rising from 19 kwacha 84 ngwe to 21 kwacha 96 ngwe, and diesel from 18 kwacha 93 ngwe to 21 kwacha 54 ngwe per litre, while the price of kerosene remains unchanged. Meanwhile, Zambia Consumer Association ZACA Executive Secretary Mr. Juba Sakala has advised for quarterly reviews to allow consumers to make predictable budgets, stating that the current trend is disturbing many areas of citizens' lives and the economy. More in this report.
The Energy Regulation Board in December 2021 announced its intentions to begin carrying out monthly fuel reviews to ensure that current fuel prices are in line with prices on the international market. While some stakeholders held this move, stating that this would prevent seemingly wide increments after a long period of time, others feared that this would bring instability in many sectors of economic activities. The country has so far witnessed both an increment and reduction in fuel prices, with the latest action being another increment announced on Monday, 28 February 2022. This has seen the price of petrol being increased from 19 kwacha 84 ngwe to 21 kwacha 96 ngwe, and diesel from 18 kwacha 93 ngwe to 21 kwacha 54 ngwe. Concerned parties have expressed divergent views over the monthly review of fuel, among them taxi drivers in Lusaka's Central Business District.
As a taxi driver, what we need is maybe they can increase fuel after 6 months, because we're affecting even our customers, because we can't increase and we can't reduce. So it's affecting, in fact, everyone. Both of us, a taxi driver, even an individual who is boarding a taxi, because it's an inconvenience to them. At the moment, we are still using the same price, because we don't know. Maybe if we increase, like going to intercity is 50 kwacha. If we increase to 60 kwacha, people will still complain. But why are you increasing?
It has really affected our business, because the time they reduce the price, when we charge this, the ones who books it, they will refuse, saying fuel have been reduced. So again, when it comes like they have increased again, to increase again, it will be so difficult.
The Zambia Consumer Association ZACA have also expressed their views. ZACA Executive Secretary Mr. Juba Sakala was speaking to Camnet News.
This monthly reviewing of fuel has a negative impact on consumers, because it distorts their budget. Every time now you have to more like anticipate how much it will be. So even your budget, you really don't know, because you might budget something, maybe the fuel is higher than what you think or is lower than what you think. They need to distort your budget in any way, or somebody to live, you need to make a budget, and that budget makes you predict how you're going to spend your money. But with this unpredictable mechanism to increase fuel, it makes business uncertain, because it has created uncertainty in people's minds and even business environment. People now, they don't know how much they will spend next month or how much they won't spend next month. So the issue is, let's review this. Let them make it a 3 months time for them to review, so that people can able to budget.
Among the reasons cited by the Energy Regulation Board for the increment is the disruption in fuel prices, which has been sparked by the war between Russia and Ukraine, as well as the depreciation of the kwacha against the United States dollar. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The National Democratic Congress Party, NDC, formerly led by Joseph Akafomba, has relieved Mwenya Musenge of his duty as party president. Announcing this development, Faction Party National Spokesperson Emmanuel Malite says the change has been necessitated by the silence exhibited by Mr. Mwenya Musenge. The former National Spokesperson George Sichula has now been appointed as party president, with James Wamyima, NDC Secretary General, being elevated to the position of vice president. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwenya Musenge says he has not yet received official communication over his position. He was, however, quick to mention that he will not challenge the decision made by the 10 members sitting. More in this report.
Drama in the National Democratic Congress Party NDC never ceases to amaze the public. Barely 3 months since Mwenya Musenge was appointed as faction president, he has been demoted on grounds of incompetence and failure to speak on national matters, as well as defend the alliance partner, which the UPND vowed to support throughout beyond 2026. Tuesday, NDC National Spokesperson Emmanuel Malite announced the changes made in the party structures, with hopes of making the party relevant as they work closely in an alliance with the UPND.
In immediate effect, the National Governing Council has dropped Honorable Mwenya Musenge as an interim party president, and he has been replaced by the past national spokesperson, Mr. George Shula. And the vice president to be with will be has been also promoted from the Secretary General, was Mr. James Wamungima, who's now the Vice President Admin. Honorable Joseph Shala takes on Vice President as political. Dr. Mulu takes on as the General Secretary, and of course the one who's speaking here, I've always been the media director from inception, but I've been considered that I should take on the national spokesperson of the NDC. These are changes that we have made.
And George Sichola has confidently taken over the presidency of the NDC, expressing hope of strengthening the party. According to him, the NDC is in full support of the UPND administration, predicting a 30-year rule of the UPND.
Mention that from this point going forward, we shall be there to speak of the good things that the UPND government is doing in government today. I want to mention that this UPND government is not a 5-year term government. It will be there even after 30 years from now, believe it or not. Yeah. What will make the UPND alliance government to be in government even for over 30 years is the fact that they are doing the right thing. They've put up good leadership. Okay? He's doing what the PF people used to, what the PF failed to do. Look at the prudent management of resources that he has introduced in government today.
And when contacted for a comment, Mr. Mwenya Msenge indicated that the NDC has not matured as a party, hence being engaged in such misguided decisions. He says the 10 members who have made the decision have not yet informed him officially.
No, it's not that when you have some members doing whatever they are doing, then there is somebody that is backing them. But my conscience tells me very clear that I shall not be manipulated. I shall not accept to sell my conscience to lots for that I cannot do. But one thing that I wouldn't want is to start fighting within the party.
Meanwhile, the NDC say they will soon write to the court demanding that the matter in which they sued Savoy-led NDC to be disposed of. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Members of Parliament championing comprehensive sexuality education have hailed President Hakainde Hichilema's stance to end child marriages, teen pregnancies and gender-based violence in the country. Last week in Eastern Province, during the commemoration of the Nchwala traditional ceremony, the head of state reaffirmed his commitment to safeguarding the plight of children and the girl child. Parliamentarians say the statement by the head of state demonstrates political will towards tackling teen pregnancies and child marriages in the country. Speaking on behalf of the 15 members of Parliament at the Parliament buildings in Lusaka Tuesday, Itaji constituency member of Parliament Twambo Mutinta says they are in support of comprehensive sexuality education because it is key in reversing vices affecting children. More in the following report.
Zambia has seen the West when it comes to child marriages, teen pregnancies and gender-based violence. And statistics to back that up are alarming. For instance, 15,724 teenage girls dropped out of school in 2019 alone, and 7,920 cases of gender-based violence were reported by the Zambia police countrywide during the fourth quarter of 2021. Last week, while in Eastern Province, during the commemoration of the Nchwala ceremony of the Ngoni-speaking people of Eastern Province, President Hakainde Hichilema affirmed commitment to safeguard the plight of children in the country.
Traditional leaders, church leaders, this new government, let us work together to end child marriages, early marriages. Let us work together to end early pregnancies. Let us work together to end gender violence.
This has excited members of parliament championing comprehensive sexuality education, saying the gesture demonstrates political will to end child marriages, teen pregnancies, and gender-based violence in the country. Itezitezi constituency member of parliament Twambo Mutinta spoke on behalf of the 15 members of parliament at the parliament building in Lusaka Tuesday.
The statement President Hakainde Hichilema made not only demonstrates the highest political will by the new Dawn government to clearly underscore the resolve and intent to tackle early marriages and teenage pregnancies. We therefore, as champions, call upon fellow members of parliament to take this message to every constituency and improve the life outcomes of our girls and young women in Zambia. We are informed by experts, members of the media, that comprehensive knowledge about HIV in girls is only 40% and 38.6% in boys, while teenage pregnancy stands at 29.2%. The Health Management Information System,
he says, comprehensive sexuality education will help empower young people with the right information on reproductive health, further urging the church, traditional leaders, and the general citizenry to support the agenda.
We also join him in urging traditional leaders, church leaders, community leaders, and caregivers to take proactive steps to stop all forms of gender-based violence. We appeal to the law enforcement agencies to make sure that cases of teenage pregnancies, child marriage, and other forms of gender-based violence, some of which are defilement cases, are not only recorded but are prosecuted in the courts of law. We urge the clergy to familiarize themselves with the CSC curriculum and integrate its intents in their Sunday or Sabbath and youth programs to end vices that promote unhealthy behaviors that have not spared the church and other religious circles.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Zambia Union of Teachers Public Relations Director Godwin Maseka has called on the girl children in Zambia not to abuse the re-entry policy by using it as a way to cohabit. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Maseka says ZANUT is working on a document yet to be submitted to Parliament that will relook at some parts of the policy, such as when a girl gets pregnant, the boy is also given time to go and take care of the girl. Mr. Maseka adds that the above-mentioned part of the policy only promotes early marriages, hence ZANUT calling for the relook of the policy. More in the following report.
Zambia's re-entry policy allows an increasing number of girls that fall pregnant while in school to be readmitted to school after maternity leave, so that they can continue to pursue education and change their life course. Prior to the introduction of the re-entry policy, girls who fell pregnant had challenges getting back in school. As they suffered great discrimination in their communities, this compelled many of them to drop out of school completely and get married at an early age. Despite the policy working effectively in Zambia, the Zambia Union of Teachers feels government should relook the policy.
That as a union, we are putting up a paper to be submitted to Parliament regarding certain amendments that we feel can be made towards the re-entry policy. What is it that we would want amended in the re-entry policy? There are a number of issues that need to be looked at. One,
Mr. Masaka says both girls and boys should not take advantage of the policy and start cohabiting.
Falls pregnant, the boy is equally affected in terms of the girl. When the girl is given a leave to go and attend to herself at the time she is not feeling so well, the policy stated that maybe a boy equally may be given chance to go and take care of a girl during that transition period. So in other quarters, just like the unions, it was felt that it was more or less like an inconspicuous way of promoting marriages.
Because of the policy, today, an increasing number of girls that fall pregnant while in school go back to school within a year of giving birth. The policy guidelines also provide that pregnant girls attend class as long as they can. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka. The Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company says it is currently working on connecting households in Lusaka's Kamanga-Foxdale area to the regular water system and move away from the borehole water system. Speaking when visiting the area in response to complaints about the lack of water in the area for about 7 months now, Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Muzungu says the area has about 5 boreholes, but only one is currently working. Residents of Kamanga-Foxdale on Sunday challenged civic leaders in the area as well as the water utility company to come to their aid, stating that they were subjected to paying monthly water bills despite their taps not producing a single drop of water in several months. More in this report.
The Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company has called for calm among Lusaka residents, promising normalization of water supply, as citizens from different areas within the province have been expressing displeasure at what they term as erratic water supply in the areas. On Sunday, 27th February 2022, residents of Kamanga-Foxdale area in Munali constituency spoke out on the water blues in the area, stating that they have not had water for 7 months now, despite the area being under Mr. Mike Imposha, who is also Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. Water blues have been the norm in some parts of the capital city and the country at large, as despite water being a basic necessity, its availability is not always guaranteed. This has brought concern from organizations such as the World Health Organization (WHO), who say combating various diseases such as diarrhea is a challenge without easy access to clean water, as this causes a compromise in sanitation. For these residents of Kamanga-Foxdale area in Lusaka, their call has been for water to be restored, as they state that they have been paying water bills for their fixed water meters, despite their taps not having water since July 2021.
Almost 6 months, water doesn't come to our taps. What we normally do is we just get the guys to go and fetch for water for us. That side down, we pay for the guys. If he fetches like 6 buckets or 7, we give him like 10 kwacha, 12 kwacha. So I'm appealing to our MP to come to our area here, to come and visit us, to see the problem we're facing.
We have records here, we have paid those bills. We don't own the Lusaka water and sewerage any money. We are paying bills, but we have no water. We are fetching water from far places, and we are paying for that water, which means we are paying twice. Come to our aid. We can't be paying for water which we don't see. Our taps are dry.
In response to these complaints, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Muzungu says for the case of Kamanga-Foxdale area, the water utility company is phasing out the use of borehole water to ensure that these residents are connected to the regular system.
So what we have started now is to move the old customers from the old network to the new network. So that's 700 customers here in Kamanga who are going to be connected to the new network. And then we are going to have additional 300 customers near Chamba Valley, Chalo Trust School, who are also going to be connected to the network. So that gives us a total of 1,000 customers to be connected to the network. And they should be able to now benefit from the water which is coming from Kafue following the operationalization of the Kafue Bulk Water Improvement Project. So that is the situation here in Kamanga. We are very much aware of the challenges which the people of Kamanga have been facing with regards to access to water. But as a utility company, we have not just been sitting. We are alive to these challenges, and we have a plan not only for Kamanga, but a plan for the entire city of Lusaka.
He has also assured other affected areas within the province of overall improvement in water supply. According to the United Nations, clean drinking water and sanitation are a basic necessity, as they are essential to the realization of all human rights. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thank you for watching Camnet TV Main News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. Has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here,
Global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow! Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Minister of Agriculture Ruben Mtolopiri has revealed that the ministry has plans to recruit more agriculture extension officers to cushion the existing deficit. Speaking on the floor of Parliament Tuesday, Mr. Piri says currently one agriculture extension officer is attending to about 1,800 farmers in the most extreme cases against the recommended 400 farmers. The minister was responding to concerns raised by Mwinilunga Member of Parliament, Mr. Newton Samakai, who noted that the agriculture sector in his constituency is currently operating at 50%. Other stakeholders, among them the Young Emerging Farmers Initiative, YEFI, have been calling for the recruitment of more agriculture extension officers, stating that apart from crops, farmers should also be taught methods of maximizing livestock production.
The government has plans to recruit is for C and D, and it reads, the number of staff and the category of staff earmarked for recruitment will depend on the advice by the Ministry of Finance through the Treasury Authority. Yes, we are understaffed, but we have 22 members of staff on the expected establishment of 38. However, Madam Speaker, I think for the benefit of all members in the House, it is important to note that it is recommended, for example, that one extension member of staff, agriculture extension member of staff, should manage about 400 farmers. But in our case, on average, one extension staff is managing about 1,000. In extreme cases, like I was in Chipangari last week, one extension staff managing 1,800 farmers. And that is definitely not appropriate. So we will be pushing that the Ministry of Finance could allow us to employ.
Environmentalist Robert Chimambo has told the Constitutional Court that the Zambia Environment Management Agency, ZEMA, abrogated its mandate of protecting the environment when it recommended for mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park. This is in a matter in which Mr. Chimambo has petitioned the Concourt to order government to withdraw the approval for mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park by the developer Mwembeshi Resources Limited as it breaches the Constitution. The petitioner has since cited the Attorney General and ZEMA as respondents in the petition. Mr. Chimambo has submitted before court that there is no evidence of consultations provided, as ZEMA wrote to some stakeholders on the 4th May 2021 and gave them up to 3rd June to respond. He argues that ZEMA made the decision to approve the project on the 7th of May 2021, 3 days after writing to the stakeholders. More in this report.
Last week, the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, told the Constitutional Court that there was no violation of any provision of the Constitution of the approval for the mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park. ZEMA also submitted that the mining activities can sustainably be conducted in the Lower Zambezi National Park in line with the conditions of approval, has anticipated risk can be sufficiently mitigated. However, environmentalist Robert Chimambo, who has petitioned it and the government in the Constitutional Court, maintains his argument that ZEMA abrogated its mandate of protecting environment the moment it recommended for mining in the Lower Zambezi. In his affidavit of reply, Mr. Chimambo submits that before the minister then approved the project, ZEMA rejected mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park. This is in a matter in which Mr. Chimambo has petitioned the Constitutional Court to order government to withdraw the approval for mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park by the developer, Mwembeshi Resources Limited, as it breaches the Constitution. He has since cited the Attorney General and ZEMA as the respondent respectively. In his latest submission, Mr. Chimambo says ZEMA wrote to stakeholders on the 4th of May 2021 and gave them up to 3rd June 2021 to respond when it had already made the decision to approve the project on the 7th of May 2021, 3 days after writing to the stakeholders. Further, the petitioner argues that there can never be an addendum to an invalid or non-existent environment impact statement which expired after 3 years ago of being approved. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A banker from the Zambia National Commercial Bank, Natasha Mtatawawa, has testified before Lusaka Magistrate Felix Kaoma that Konkola Copper Mine KCM applied to open an account with the bank and a 4.4 million kwacha was sent to that account, which monies were later transferred to a Munya and Company account. This is in a matter in which KCM provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu is accused of stealing 4.4 million kwacha from KCM and is also facing a charge of money laundering. More in this report.
Trial in a matter in which Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu is accused of theft has continued before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court, with the court Tuesday morning hearing testimony from a banker at First National Bank. Natasha Mtantawa, a witness called on stand by the state prosecution, testified that in 2021, Drug Enforcement Commission officers contacted the bank with a search warrant requesting to review monies and bank transaction on KCM. She testified that she gave DEC officers bank documents for the dollar and kwacha account for KCM, and among the documents she gave the officers was a letter from KCM requesting to open an account with the bank, and the letter was signed by the accused person as there was a court order that appointed him as the liquidator of the mine. In her further testimony, Ms. Mutantawowa testified that after KCM opened a kwacha account with the bank, it instructed the bank to transfer a 4.4 million kwacha, which was in its account, to Munya and Company account. In cross-examination, the witness confirmed with the court that since there was a court order that mentioned Mr. Lungu being the liquidator of KCM, it was right for him to sign on the bank statements. Mr. Lungu was appointed by the previous government, the Patriotic Front, in May 2019 as the provisional liquidator for KCM and is now accused of having stolen 4.4 million kwacha from the said mine. He is further accused of money laundering contrary to Section 7 of the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act 14 of 2001 as amended by Act number 44 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. The matter comes up on the 11th of April 2022 for continued trial. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Various stakeholders have developed regulations to operationalize the Higher Education Amendment Act 2021. Higher Education Authority HEA Director General Stephen Simukanga says it is necessary to have relevant regulations in order to implement the Act. Speaking at the Higher Education Amendment Act Sensitization Workshop in Lusaka today, Professor Simukanga said a series of meetings have been designed to consult stakeholders on the regulations that have been made. He said the workshops are designed to consult stakeholders on the regulations before they are considered by the Ministry of Justice and before the Ministry of Education issues a statutory instrument. Professor Simukanga further said the meetings will also focus on the impact of regulations on operations of higher education institutions. He disclosed that a regulatory impact assessment was conducted by the authority in conjunction with a business regulatory review agency. He says the results of the impact assessment will culminate in proposals for the review and introduction of user fees, which will be part of the statutory instrument. Professor Simukanga added that the goal of the impact assessment was to ensure that the user fees are both cost-reflective and have negligible impact on the cost of doing business for the higher education subsector. This is Camnet TV News. We take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Welcome back. Now in international news, families of Nigerian students studying in Ukraine protested Russia's attack on Ukraine. Families of students who gathered in front of the Russian embassy in Abuja and held anti-war banners chanted slogans against Russia. Barikisu Ahmad, who participated in the protest, told a correspondent that he had not heard from his daughter for a while and that he was worried about this. This comes a few days after the Nigerian government expressed disappointment at ongoing reports of maltreatment of some Nigerian nationals attempting to flee Ukraine. In other news, UN member states are meeting in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, for the UN's Environmental Assembly. On the agenda is a plan to make a legally binding treaty to restrict the use of plastic and pollution, and environmental activists have called for a ban on all single-use plastics. Here's a roundup of international news.
Every time the tide comes in, a line of plastic waste is left here on the beaches of the Lamu Islands in Kenya. Mariam Mohammed and her friends collect it and bring it here to the Flip-Floppy project. They're paid between $1 and $2 for each sack.
This is not easy. You have to go around until you've collected a certain amount, then get paid for your sweat.
The Flip-Floppy project built the world's first sailing dhow made from recycled plastic 5 years ago. It's named after the old plastic sandals that cover it. It's part of their campaign against single-use plastics. They want to recycle more, so they're setting up this plastic recycling facility in Lamu, the first of its kind in Kenya's coastal region. It starts with shredding. Then this machine will make plastic beams and planks, out of which they plan to make another boat, this one big enough to sail the world and show people what's possible.
Can we create innovative ways to make out of the mess a message that plastic pollution is compatible?
The Flip-Floppy campaigners say they'll share what they learn as they research and develop the technology. Materials like this can be used instead of wood for fence posts and construction as well, so fewer trees are cut down. They say they can gather about 20 tons of this kind of plastic waste in a month of organised collections by turning plastic bottle caps like this into plastic planks like this. They plan to not only clear the waste and reuse it, but also to keep traditional carpentry and boat building skills alive as well. Ali Skander is the best known boat builder in the islands. His family have been making sailing dhows from wood for generations. He made the first Flip-Floppy boat. The new one will be as big as this old wooden one that he's restoring. As governments meet this week at the UN Environment Assembly in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, he wants them to address plastic use and pollution.
All leaders, lawmakers, we need you. We need you to change this world to a better place. You know, this is the only world we have been aimed to come and live. We have no other planet which is beautiful than here.
Of one rib.
But working with plastics different to wood, Katerina Elika, an industrial designer, is researching what needs to be changed, but says reusing plastic is only to clear up the existing mess.
The goal is not to recycle forever. The goal is to stop the production.
Making one more plastic boat isn't going to clear all the plastic waste on Kenya's coast, but the Flip-Floppy campaigners hope it'll be the start of a solution to the plastic pollution crisis. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Lamu, Kenya.
Families of stranded Nigerian students stuck in Ukraine protested the Russians' attack on their European neighbors. The parents called upon the Nigerian government to urgently support Nigerian students in Ukraine. They further called for peace negotiations to calm the situation. This comes a few days after the Nigerian government expressed disappointment at ongoing reports of maltreatment of some Nigerian nationals attempting to flee Ukraine.
Based on what we are seeing on television and the news we are hearing, we are not sleeping. We have sleepless nights. That is why we are out here today, to tell Russian government and Ukraine government to negotiate and give peace a chance.
So far, the first round of negotiations between the two countries took place Monday with no formidable conclusion to end the escalations. More than 500,000 Ukrainians and other nationals have sought refuge in other neighboring countries, like Poland.
A refugee crisis on an industrial scale. Every person currently housed in this warehouse on the Ukraine-Poland border had their lives turned upside down when Russia invaded Ukraine. Go! The number of people forced to live like this offers an insight into the enormous scope of this crisis. And still they keep coming, bust in from the border, away from the war, but now in limbo. We're here at one of the many reception centers set up on the Ukraine-Poland border, where people have been telling us how happy and relieved they are to finally be inside Poland, to have crossed over the border from Ukraine. But many people have also been telling us of the indignities that they have suffered on the Ukrainian side of the border. People from countries in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East were living and working in Ukraine when the war began. Weapons of war do not discriminate, so everyone ran for their lives, foreign citizens, hoping to reach Poland to contact diplomatic missions evacuated to Warsaw.
We were always the last people to get on anything. It was always like that. So they would firstly put their people first, and us. I would say for me it was discriminating, but I think for them it's normal because it's their country. They need to save their people first.
Some of the people we spoke with said a country at war could be forgiven for putting their own people first. But for others, some with Ukrainian families of their own, the contrast of how they were treated was too stark.
We understand that they need to save their citizens, but we have been loyal to Ukraine. We have been in their country. We have been lawful in their country. We have shown them love. I believe that the least they could do was to evacuate us.
Well, my thought is that a refugee is a refugee, and a refugee is a human being, and it doesn't matter what skin color, religion, political attitude or whatever that is. If a refugee needs help, then we need to help the refugee.
The non-European refugees coming into Poland tell stories of generous strangers giving help, shelter, food and transport. But they also tell stories of guns being pointed at them by Ukrainian troops, being forced back to make way for Ukrainians to get to safe havens first. And even in Poland, tempers run high.
Wait, no, you can't tell us the same way that we went out of war, even Ukrainians went out of war. Only you're taking just Ukrainians. I'm so sorry. I respect you as a police officer, but what you guys are doing here, this is not the job of a country that is showing itself that they are helping refugees coming from Ukraine. I'm sorry.
War, as always it seems, brings out the best and worst in people. And even if the fighting stops soon, repairing the damage done to all the lives touched by this crisis will take much longer. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, Korchova, Eastern Poland.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia plans to open a FAS coaching school in Zambia, where coaches can engage in long-term education. Speaking to the media, FAS President Andrew Kamanga says the plan will also extend to other leagues in the next phase. Kamanga disclosed that the school training will expose more coaches to higher levels of education through engaging progressive football forces in the game to exchange ideas. Kamanga was speaking during the official opening of the elite coaching course being held in Lusaka.
Federation, I have no doubts that as we interact with him, we will reflect on our ways to develop ourselves as coaches. As part of a partnership that we've signed with the Croatian Football Federation, we are going ahead to set up for the first time a FAS coaching school, which is a major shift in the way we approach coaching. The Croatian FA, through Mr. Kugler's office, will assist us to draw up the curriculum for the FAS coaching school, which will be modeled around the UEFA course for UEFA C, B, A, and UEFA Pro, including goalkeeping as well as video analysis. And in addition, you will learn from him that they do have various coaching courses.
To end Camnet News, we take a look at stories making headlines once again. PAC labels DMMU disastrous on account of financial irregularities. Government advised to revisit the monthly fuel adjustments. President Hakainde Hichilema hailed for championing child rights. In international news, Nigerians protest Russian invasion of Ukraine, and sports news fires to open a coach training school. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from Psalms 42, verse 1 to 2. As a deer longs for streams of water, so I long for you, God. I thirst for God, the living God. When can I come and appear before God? Thank you for watching the news. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Have a good night.